everyone, my name's Sam and this is Frugalissima. Welcome to my channel, and first of all thank you to everyone who's subscribed so far, and welcome to anybody who's new. Here you will find me talking about sewing, doing reviews and hints and tips, and if you haven't subscribed, if you please consider subscribing and liking the videos. Just helps YouTube put my videos out there to anybody else who might be interested. Yeah, and I really enjoy doing these. It's a lot of hard work because I've been doing a blog post that sits alongside the video as well, and that can be found at frugalissima.com. And that will just give you links to all the patterns and fabric that I've found this week. It just saves me having to put it all again into the description box at the bottom. So on to the review. Just a spoiler alert, I will talk about who won the show. There's no eliminations this week, it's just a winner. And if you're wondering what I'm wearing, this is the Antonia Caftan, free pattern from Fabric Store, and I managed to find some earrings that matched as well, look. So I'm quite chuffed with that. So it was the usual format. We had 3 rounds. We had a technical round, or a pattern challenge if you like, which was this week was kilts. The usual transformation challenge, which was carnival. The theme was carnival. And the made to measure, which was a red carpet dress. And the overall theme of the week was celebration. So I'll be reviewing the programme and looking at patterns and fabrics that the contestants used, and I will also be challenging myself. I've been challenging myself each week to make something inspired by the bee. We're doing that using patterns and fabrics that I have already, rather than going out and buying things. So the first round was to make a boy's kilt. We had 3 3/4 hours to make this, and essentially you've got 2 sides to a kilt and then pleats in the middle. One side was frayed, and they had to attach buckles and a waistband and buckles, and I think there was a press stud on there as well. I'm not so sure whether it was hemmed or not, and the choice of fabric I think was key to this, in that obviously they were using a tartan or a plaid if you're not from the UK, so a big check. And this is a traditional garment, but I think they chose it as under the umbrella of celebration, because really now they get worn a lot for celebrations, weddings and things like that. Obviously people do wear them as well, but you tend to see people who've got any sort of Scottish blood in them, they'll wear them at weddings. And in fact we had quite a few chaps come down from Scotland to our wedding 25 years ago wearing kilts. It was quite something to see. Fabulous. So you'd think just a long strip of fabric with some pleats in the middle would be quite simple, but it's not. They weren't actually given a pattern for this. They were given a long set of instructions which really needed to be read and digested before they got stuck into the challenge. And I think Clare clocked onto this quite quickly, in that if she chose smaller squares on her tartan, then it would be easier to actually match up the squares. Judges were looking for uniformity going across the squares. It's quite difficult to describe, so we'll insert a picture there to show you what I mean. So there's quite a lot of maths and calculations in there, so I think Clare was in her element with that one. She really sort of took a shine to this challenge. So going on to the fabrics, the pattern that they used, one of the old Great British Sewing Bee books has the directions for making a kilt, which is that one there, and this is the Fashion with Fabric book. I don't know if it was the second book in the series, and obviously I've never made this, and I just thought, oh, yes, I've definitely got a pattern. But it isn't a pattern, it is just the directions. It's all the measurements and calculations. So if you are interested in doing that, see if you can get it from your library, or I have found a link in something called WikiHow, which I think is a branch of Wikipedia that shows you how to do things, and it's quite a detailed descriptions of how to make a kilt. Essentially, what they were looking for, the judges, was that the pleats were even, and then you had to grade it into the waist, and the waistband needed then to match down with the squares as well. So Matt chose a red tartan, and I think he really struggled. And if he struggled understanding the instructions, or whether probably maths might not have been his thing, I don't know. But you did see Nicole helping him at some point. And after you'd seen Clare go and choose hers and sort of saying that the smaller the square, the better, you did hear him say, I'm choosing red because I like red and it'll hide any mistakes. But I think he would have been better off perhaps at taking note of what Clare was doing rather than Nicole. Not that Nicole did it particularly wrong, but I think Clare clearly had read and understood the instructions better than everybody. So yeah, he really struggled with this, did Matt, and in the end he hadn't done the calculations for making it narrow into the waist, so his was when you saw it at the end was held up with pins on the mannequin. I suppose it was incomplete. He managed to, there were two buckles on the child's kilt, so he managed to put those on, but there was also like a press stud, and what did he do? He put two males on. Patrick did ask him if he was making a statement about that, so instead of having a male and a female on a press stud so they click into each other, he had two males. So yes, he came third on that one. So I mean, there's nowhere to hide in when there's only 3 contestants. You know, slightest mistake, if everybody else has done something perfect, or perfectly rather, you're gonna struggle. Nicole went for a black and white tartan, and I think she coped okay with it. She did more or less everything right. I think the only thing that the judges picked up on hers was that not all of the waistband matched in with the rest of the kilt. Patrick did say it was a bit off kilter, which was his little private joke, I think. And like I say, Clare, she just loved this round. I think it just sort of appealed to her nature of precision and being meticulous, and she just sort of sailed through it. I think really she chose a yellow tartan. And yeah, she came first with that one. She did say that she had 27 pleats in it. Now I was quite surprised by that. I would have thought there would have been more pleats in it, but of course it was only a boy's kilt, and they only used they only used 1.5 meters of fabric. So 27 pleats, I think she thought there was a lot, but I thinking about it, I didn't think there were that many, but I suppose the bigger the kilt you do, the more pleats you're going to have. It's all calculated on your hip measurement, and then you know, you just pleat it into that. Oh, she put her waistband on well. I think there was a little bit of a mismatch somewhere. Had it all frayed. She'd inserted her buckles, and the press stud was in as well, so she came first with that one. I found a couple of patterns that would fit in if you're interested in making a kilt. Faux, they've been mentioned quite a few times in past episodes. Do a pattern that covers a man's and a woman's kilt. I mean, it also includes a jacket, and I think a vest as well. They call it a vest. I call it a waistcoat. And there's a little boy's kilt there as well, which also includes a jacket, both from Faux. Nicole's have the 7736, and they call that the Highlander kilt. And like I said, there's a WikiHow one if you're wanting something free just to follow. Because I mean, essentially, it is a long rectangle of fabric folded in, and you can do it with any fabric. You just need to look out for something that will pleat nicely with your iron. Traditionally, the tartan fabric would be made of wool. The ones that I've inserted are the ones that have come through on a Minerva email. So they're not the exact matches, but the same colour, same principle, and I think they've got a bit of polyester in them as well. The next round is the transformation round, which the theme for this was carnival, and they were given 90 minutes to transform swimwear and a prom dress into a carnival outfit. So obviously this was Nicole's cup of tea. I think she was in her element here. She chose a blue bikini and just went mad in the haberdasheries, which as she does. So she decorated the bikini top, just embellished it all with shiny things, and cut into round some of the motifs, leaving the top of the bra part of it. So there was like a cutout. And then she echoed that with the bottoms. So she had a choker that she put all embellishment on, and then I was kind of thinking she'd not used quite a great deal of the prom dress, and they do have to use both elements of what they've been told to use. And it did look like, I don't know, it looked to me like at the last minute she'd just took some elements of the prom dress into the top of the bikini bottoms, if you know what I mean, at the top of the thigh. I don't know whether they were sewn in or not, but you could see quite close to the end, and this could be editing. There was nothing on those bikini bottoms, and then suddenly there was. But the judges really liked that because it was all tied in. The coral of the prom dress echoed the coral of the choker. Yeah, they really liked that. Clare was quite imaginative, using a yard rule or a metre rule as they are now, which is one of these. She attached the prom dress to the two of those and made them into giant, I don't know, wings, I suppose. She took a purple bikini, created little pockets for the wings, or whatever you're going to call them, to sit into them, and then attach them by string to stop them, you know, to keep them steady. And then she had some feathers on the hips and some fringing at the bottom of the bikini and the top of the bikini bottoms. So yeah, I think hers were quite imaginative. She did say, just as she was wheeling the mannequin on, she said that she'd not embellished enough. Matt chose a yellow prom dress which had a sort of fairly sculptured bodice around the boobs area, turned that upside down and put that at the bottom, the swimsuit, forming kind of a skirt, and I think there was a little bit at the back as well. And then just lots of huge feathers on the back, and almost as an afterthought, I think he put two little embellishments over the apex of the breast. And I don't think the judges particularly thought it was very imaginative. I think it not tied in the colours of the feathers into any other part of the outfit, and not enough bling, I suppose, for Esme. Nicole won that round. I think that round was specifically aimed at Nicole, really. I mean, Matt had said he'd never been to a carnival. Esme said she'd sat on a windowsill watching Notting Hill Carnival with David Bowie, which is fairly cool. Not jealous at all. Nicole won that one. Claire came second and Matt came third. So going into the made to measure, Matt was really trailing. He was really struggling. He got to position third in both rounds previously. Claire had been first and second, and Nicole came first and a second as well. So I think Claire and Nicole were neck and neck, and Matt was really struggling. But wow, what around the made to measure was. So they had 6 hours to make a red carpet worthy evening gown that had to have a cutout element. So that was essentially the brief for that one. And yeah, wow, they really did. All three of them made some super dresses, all different, all completely different, but all really special in their own way. So the judges were looking for, they were obviously looking for great sewing and great fit, but they were also looking for good placement of the cutout, and and whatever they made had to complement the model, and they got to choose their own model for this particular round. So Nicole got a pal from the school run, beautiful tall leggy lady, and Clare had used a colleague who was a colleague at a hospital, and I think she was quite worried about doing the modelling, but she ended up being a really good model for her. And Matt brought his boyfriend Greg, which I think he'd been desperate to include. They mentioned him every episode. Matt, if you don't know, designs drag queen outfits, not professionally, I don't think. I think he must have done them mostly for friends and his partner Greg. On to Matt's first. He self-drafted, so I haven't got a pattern for that one. Once again, he self-drafted and used PVC, which had a nod to bondage. So essentially the cut-out part of it swept right across one side of the body and went right round the back. So I think it might have been a little bit tricky for any lady to wear unless she was particularly flat-chested. And then we had, I don't know if there were about 6 grommets or something down one side, which tied in, and a big ring at the back that looped round. So yeah, it was quite a feat of precision sewing, and all PVC. It did mention that he had 2 meters of binding to finish off this thing, and it, looking close up at it, as close up as I was able, the binding did look perfect at how he did it, and it really did seem to struggle with this sewing machine. Once again, I showed before, if you're sewing with PVC, these feet here with the little rollers on are ideal, or a Teflon foot, or a walking foot. That's a walking foot. This is just a generic one, and they just help you to feed your fabric through evenly. It's just, you know, PVC has a tendency to stick, and it will stick to a machine foot. I couldn't actually see whether Matt had used one or not, but I could see that it was struggling. The skirt of the gown was some fabric from Minerva. It was like a brocade, and I don't know if it was silver or gold leaves on it, and he used 7 meters of this fabric to go into the skirt of the gown. Now, essentially, all they were rectangles that were gathered into this fantastic bodice that he'd made. So I suppose, looking back, there was nothing particularly special about the skirt except letting the fabric speak for itself. And yeah, it did look absolutely stunning. Nicole made the Simplicity 8330, and she did it in a beautiful orange, I suppose it was a satin, and cut it. I'll show you a picture of the pattern as I'm speaking. There are several options to it, but I think she just cut it, all of the options, they've got this really dramatic cut out back part to it, and I think she just cut it off sort of mid-thigh area, and then attached these fantastic, the fabric was just fantastic. It was feathers and sequins, and I don't think she really had much of a plan on how she was going to attach one to the other. I think she was just winging it, which is just Nicole's style. I mean, that you know, that's how she rolls. Nicole's a very experimental sewer, so she's quite happy to give something a bash. But I think on the final of something like that, I would think I might have had a little bit of a practice or of an idea of what I was going to do. So once again, she broke more needles trying to attach this feather. I don't know if it was the feathers or the sequins, trying to attach it to this crepe, this satin. And quite a lot of trauma and drama going on with that. So in the end, because how it was formed at the top was sort of in peaks like that, so she just attached the peaks to the bottom of the dress. And then in the last couple of minutes, this could again have been editing, you could see her just like chopping off the hem of the bottom, because it had a deep split up the leg part of it, and you just saw her hacking into it. It's like, obviously you couldn't have hemmed it anyway, but it just seemed a mad thing to be doing. That's 2 minutes of a you know, competition that you spent the last 10 weeks doing. I don't know. Anyway, she had problems along the way with she sewed her lining in the wrong way in, so she had to unpick all that. So she'd left it until the last hour, again could be editing, to unpick all this lining that she'd sewn in wrong, and to try and attach this this skirt to the bodice part of the dress. And then there was there's like a choker type neck across the neck. She wanted to embellish that. Again, you saw her trying to use a sewing machine to do that. Why not just use a needle and thread? It'd have been a lot easier. I don't know. There's winging it and there's making things hard for yourself. I don't know what she was thinking there. Under the pressure, I suppose. I don't know. Clare used the Decades of Style 1930s evening gown, I think it was called, in a red silk backed crepe. And that was very much Clare. It was really elegant. She did have a small pucker on the final gown, just right where you don't want to pucker, where you're going to see it. But as Esme pointed out, the simpler the dress, the more you're going to see the mistakes. And I would argue that wasn't a simple dress. I would argue that 16 pieces to a bodice was a lot more complicated than what anybody else had sewn. And she couldn't try it onto a model until right at the last part, because the bodice kind of, the skirt part came right into the bodice, so until she'd attached the skirt she couldn't really try it on. Now I will just point out that not only are they allowed to practice these garments, they can cut out the pieces before they start as well. Working on the premise that they know their models, you would think, time dependent, I don't know how much time they've got between the semi-finals and the finals, how much time they've got to practice, but you'd think they'd make sure that they're going to get the fit right, and that had always been Clare's downfall, is getting the fit right. So at long last she did get the fit right on this one, and the description of the sewing pattern on the Decades of Style website says that the skirt's cut on the bias, or it allows the bias to let the skirt fall or something. So I don't know whether that means that the skirt is cut on the bias, or whether it's just they're just talking about the fact that it's cut on an angle and therefore it creates bias. But once again, it needed to hang, and you could see that the hem wasn't as even as perhaps she would have liked, but I don't think it did her any harm really. So Clare's cut-out part there's a very small part at the neckline there, just like a little triangular part there at the neckline, and then the back was a deep, very low dramatic back that had, it did have some parts to the back. It wasn't completely bare like the halter-neck dress that I made the other week. But yes, it was really elegant. So onto the result then. Like I say, everybody made a fantastic job, but going into the last round, Matt was trailing, but having come third in both the previous rounds. And I think had Nicole been able to complete her dress as she perhaps had envisaged, and you could see her visibly upset that she hadn't quite done everything that she wanted to do, how she wanted to do it. It wasn't, it wasn't perfect. The winner overall was Clare, and if you didn't see it, her face was an absolute picture. I think she was truly shocked to win that. but well deserved really. She'd been steady away all through the series, and once again I would say that her biggest downfall was a fit, and she managed to get it all right on the night, which was the night that it mattered really. So I'll bob a picture in of all three dresses together, and the models, all three dresses looked absolutely stunning on the models. They were perfect for each model, which was part of what they were being judged on, is that they were, you know, they had to look right on their models. My only criticism of Matt's really, and this is probably because it was designed for a man and not a woman, is that the skirt sat on the hip rather than the waist. The bodice, the way it had been cut, if it had put it on the waist, it had cut off part of the design. So I don't know if that was designed to be like that. But his skirt was actually fully lined. You could see he'd had to re-hem it somewhere. I don't know if he'd hemmed all 7 metres of it. You didn't see him hemming all 7 metres of it. But like I say, I'm wondering whether the fact that he'd been third in both rounds, whether that just made just put him too far behind, and the skirt part was perhaps too simplistic. I don't know. I really do think Clare deserved to win that. It was that, like I said, they were all absolutely stunning gowns. How Matt came up with that design, I don't know. I mean, obviously he's been designing for his partner for quite a long time, whereas the other two girls, I think they'd never really designed for their friends before. So he kind of knows what fitted his partner, and how to design to make his body look how he wanted his body to look. So on to my challenge. So like I said before, I've been challenging myself to make something inspired by the bee each week, sometimes more successfully than others, but this week it's flummoxed me a little bit because I don't have a lot of need for a kilt right now, despite having the pattern. I can't see my husband wearing that. Although I've just been talking to my pal Jane, and she's talking about doing one out of Ankara fabric, so that should be interesting, because you should have enough fabric to do that. As a side note to these kilts, this man's kilt here takes between 4.5 and 7.5 metres of fabric. So no, I won't be making one of those. I'm not going to a carnival that I know of anytime soon. I don't think we're going to be allowed to do that for quite a long time, and I certainly won't be parading up and down in half a bikini. So that leaves me with a red carpet dress, and to the best of my knowledge I'm not going to a movie premiere neither. But I have had a route through my patterns, and I thought I'd just bring some along just to show you what I've got. So I thought this Butterick 5136 would probably fit the bill. Probably not really cut out, although if you look at the pictures on the back, it has got quite a low back there. Arguably you could say that's cut out across there. Absolutely beautiful. I don't really need it. I bought this I think for about £1 in a second-hand shop, and when I've got it home, it's sizes 6, 8, 10 and 12, so it won't fit me anyway, and it has got a longer hem at the back than it has at the front, so it's quite bridal, and it's I absolutely love it. It's beautiful, and it's got a nice little shrug, backwards shrug on it. But no, I won't be making that one. It is a vintage Vogue one that again I picked up from the same place. More red carpet, but not very cut out. Reminds me a little bit of Elizabeth Taylor does a model on that one. Again, I just know where to go to wear something like this, so I'll not be making that one either. And then I've got, I don't know why I've got this one. I did buy this and I did pay full price for this. This is a Butterick B6413, and if you can see, it's got the cutout just there. This is a Gertie pattern. I think I was influenced by somebody on YouTube to buy this. It's nice, but I just don't, I've not got anywhere to wear something like that, and I'm not sure whether I want that little bit showing or not. Not with this lockdown belly I've got at the moment. And then I've got this Simplicity K8051, which has the cutout at the back. You can see that on the top picture there. It has a little cutout at the back. That would probably not be the most likely, but that's probably more likely to be made at some point, but not anytime soon. And then there's this one, this new look K6429, and this isn't red carpet at all, but it does have the cutouts there, and that, I think that was free with Sew magazine quite a while ago, and it's one of those that I've kept pulling out and thinking, yeah, I should make that. And then there's an old Prima magazine one there as well with a cutout at the back. This is an old one, 2014. That's quite nice if it was coming. It looks nice on that picture there, but if you look at the line drawings, it looks a bit, I don't know, it looks a bit frumpy. I suppose you could just do it on the short dress and just have something summery on that one. So that's a potential. Or I went to the Breaking the Pattern book as well and remembered that the Seraste shirt has cutouts on the shoulder. The Seraste shirt, there's little cutouts on the shoulder, and again, not at all red carpet. But I'm going down I'm not going to the movies anytime soon, so I'm just, you know, it's inspired by, isn't it? So that's my premise. And then finally, this is a huge cheat. I had this put to one side for my summer sewing, and looking at it there, you probably think, what? It is long, but if you look at that, it's got a bit of a racer back to it there. I kind of thought that might be cut out-ish, I don't know. So I haven't quite decided what I'm going to make for that. I will come back next week and show you what I've decided. I really don't see the point of making something that I'm not going to wear, so I'll have a think and come back next week, and I'll do an overall review of the bee and the things that I've made. So look out for that one next week. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the sewing bee. I don't know what I'm going to do on a Wednesday night now. That's I don't watch TV generally, so probably get a bit more sewing done perhaps. And if you're interested in any of the patterns and fabrics that I've mentioned, do go to my blog post, which I will link below, and all the links of any fabric that I've found will be there. And do remember, please like and subscribe if you haven't done already, and thank you so much to everybody that have done already. I really do appreciate you listening to me waffling on about sewing all this time. Hopefully coming up, I've got some videos about my summer sewing plans, and I'm going to do proper reviews on some of the patterns that I've already made. And yeah, I'm coming back with some of those. So thank you for watching, and I'll say goodbye now, and I shall speak to you later. Bye.